All right, guys. So we've recently watched Legend of Korra, and we've kind of noticed
Recently rewatched.
Okay, sorry. Thank you. We recently rewatched Legend of Korra, and we've kind of noticed that the lore that we remember in Avatar, it seems to be not as accurate according to Legend of Korra. So we want to discuss whether we feel that Legend of Korra ruined the lore, or do we feel like it just added more nuance? So.
Yeah, or possibly contradicted the original like Last Airbender lore. But here's one thing that I want to add before we start this conversation. Whenever we talk about lore, or like even the characters in the show talk about lore, right? They don't know if that lore was necessarily true.
Mm-hmm.
It could have just been sort of talked about and spread as rumors about the moon being the first waterbender, about the air bisons being the first airbenders, and so on, right?
Yeah. So where should we start? Should we start with the origin of bending? Because I think that's the big contradiction.
Yeah, that's the biggest one where you see a difference between The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra, where in Last Airbender, they tell us basically what Scott was saying, that the dragons taught them how to firebend, the moon taught them how to waterbend, and the badger moles how to earthbend, were the first earthbenders, and so on and so forth. And so basically, these different elements of nature taught human beings how to bend the elements. And in Legend of Korra, we get a different story, which, to Scott's point, the first explanation in Last Airbender is essentially given as legend. Like, this is what we are told. This is what people have passed down over years. And there's really no way of confirming whether or not it's true. However, in Legend of Korra, the
visions that
the
Korra
fact
had.
exactly the fact that it's explained through visions means that this is essentially the de facto fact truth of what happened as far as the canon of the Airbender or the Avatar world is concerned. So in that world, it came from the lion turtles, who were the ones who bestowed the power of bending onto humans.
Right, but is there a way for it to like fit in both sort of scenarios?
I think so. So like the whole thing of between Korra and the first Airbender Wan, there's 10,000 years. And so in that time, especially if there's no concrete method of passing on information, the knowledge of lion turtles and these different, and like the spirit world, especially once it's cut off from humanity, it's easy for that knowledge to be lost as soon as you get to like generations and generations later. And you know, the old man's story of like, yes, a giant lion turtle flying in the air gave us the power to airbend, kind of, it might sound crazy because nobody's ever seen a lion turtle before, but you can, if you say, oh, we learned how to from watching the air bisons, the flying bisons do their thing, that makes a little more sense. And that's a thing that they can see constantly after generation, and so it can stick a little more. So I can see how you can have the reality, the true story, get lost and then replaced by this legend that is almost similar, because the lion turtles are also part of nature, but it's just slightly changed.
All right. I mean, as far as the whole bending lore, I don't think it really contradicted, because again, it's like with Wan, we see that although they have the power of fire, the way he did it and moved, that's what bending's for, right? That's what bending does, right? So that's where you can say the martial art, they came from the animals.
Yeah, that's one thing I've also either read and also agreed with at one point, because when they say fire bending, it's sort of an art form. It's sort of, like you said, a martial arts. But at the same time, I feel like it can be both. As in, if you're a fire bender, that means you can manipulate fire.
Yeah.
Which means that technically everyone who was manipulating fire back then is also a firebender. Technically.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But I guess the lore means that they learned how to do sort of the martial art form through the dragons, through the badger moles and so on.
Yeah, the moon and all that. And
so that's sort of how I feel they can fit together.
Yeah.
And not contradict. But I do feel like it was a little unclear.
Yeah, definitely unclear. And I think another thing that I guess is where the lore, another inconsistency with the lore, with the way the spirits were portrayed. Because in Avatar: The Last Airbender, it seems like the spirits were kind of neutral, like they weren't good or bad. But it's like you get on their bad side, they would hurt on you. But according to
like
the
Heibai.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
or the guy who took away the faces, right?
Right.
Ko, right?
Ko,
Yeah.
Yeah. So it seemed like it was neutral, like.
but
Ko
also
is-
Heibai, who took away Sokka,
Okay.
who needed to pee real badly.
Yeah, exactly. So like that was a good example. But then it seems like with Legend of Korra, there's good and then there's bad spirits. So now it seems as if
that threw me off a lot, because when I guess they become bad by Vaatu's influence,
Yeah.
or if you have too much negative energy.
Yeah.
So I was very confused by that, because I feel like spirits sort of, I guess when Heibai, it just didn't look the same. When Heibai was like bad,
Yeah.
he looked completely different
Yeah.
from his regular sort of panda form.
Yeah, exactly.
And it wasn't that glowy sort of
Yeah.
darkish like tint, I
Yeah.
guess. And that, I don't know, is it a retcon, I guess? I
I
don't know.
mean, that's the thing. And then even with the fact that when Zhao tried to attack the moon and then that spirit fused with Aang, like I feel like, for example, I wouldn't think that spirit turned into some dark like energy.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought it was just trying to protect
Mhm.
like its other, spouse and sense.
Yeah.
But again, with the lore, would that be like, did Raava take over the
That's
water
another
spirit?
thing. The whole introduction of Vaatu and Raava is a huge it's a huge addition that has to kind of like work to fit with what was already established in Avatar. And so I'm not sure how you guys feel about that whole introduction, or like the Raava spirit being part of the Avatar and stuff like that. Like how do you guys feel about it, or like how it fits into what we saw in Last Airbender?
I mean, to me, again, it makes sense in terms of like why the Avatar is like all connected and why it's like it gives more why towards everything. The only thing, again, with the morality, it kind of makes it more that like the Avatar technically is just a symbol of good. It's not just because of the way society is. It's more like it is a symbol of good. But then that brings me back to questions where it's like going back to with season 2 of Korra, and maybe this is going to be another stab at season 2. If Raava's all good, then why was what's the god? Now I'm forgetting the owl's name.
Owl?
The owl inside
The
the library.
Oh, Wang Shitong?
Why would Wang Shitong go against the Avatar? The Avatar is basically the spirit of good. Wouldn't Wang Shitong be like? And maybe Wang Shitong doesn't know Raava, but he also knew Vaatu. So it's just now that makes me question a lot of things. If the Avatar is just a natural good person, then why would the spirits even go against?
That's the thing. I don't think that Raava makes the Avatar a naturally good person. That's my personal take. I have never heard them say that. I think that the Avatar still needs to be raised and properly brought up in order to be a good person. Because also, if you think about it, right, this isn't something that's just childish cartoon. This is war.
Yeah, exactly.
And Kyoshi straight up killed the tyrant.
Exactly.
And was about to kill the Fire Lord.
Yeah.
And this isn't all good, you know? If you're killing someone, that implies there's some darkness.
Yeah, exactly.
And for Raava and Vaatu, when they fought, when they were stuck to each other, they caused havoc.
That's true.
So I wouldn't call Raava. I wouldn't say that just because Raava was inside the Avatar has to be pure good or a symbol of justice. I feel like it just makes them more inclined to be good, but at the same time, because of the past lives and stuff, right?
Yeah, that's
because
fair
they're influenced by their past lives. They're influenced by the second Avatar was probably influenced by Wan, and then so on, right?
Yeah.
So that's probably one thing that makes them inclined to be good, and also the fact that Raava is also good too. But I feel like it's still up to the person to decide what to do. Because when Aang gets mad, he gets mad, right?
Yeah.
And he smacks around bugs and stuff.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough to say. That's fair enough. I guess another thing with lore. I mean, I don't know if this is really contradicting the lore, but let's go with the whole.
Also, I don't mind the whole Raava and Vaatu thing. I think it's a nice addition.
Yeah, I think I think it fits, but for me, it makes it a little too messy. Like it just makes it a little too messy for my own comfort. Like I get it, but it almost seems unnecessary to add that element to the avatar of like this is the spirit of Raava, but then Rava's natural state is supposed to be like the yin and yang with Vaatu, and so they're supposed to be in this everlasting connection and struggle with each other. And so being apart from Vaatu is kind of unnatural. And like the existence of the avatar, it makes the existence of the avatar like very unnatural because Rava is not supposed to be in a human being. Rava is supposed to be, changed to Vaatu. Yeah, I think that essentially for me, it seemed like that whole introduction, it seemed unnecessary for me. It's not like it took away from it, but it didn't add anything to it, in my opinion.
Okay. For me, I feel like I have to disagree just because I personally like the whole addition of Raava. It makes the avatar make sense. It gives some logic behind why the avatar exists, and it fills in that origin. And I love origin stories.
Mm-hmm.
I love how something came to be, to learn about how something came to be.
Right. That is true. It does give an origin to the avatar and why the avatar exists, but so if in the story of Juan has all 4 abilities before he has Raava.
No.
Oh, wait.
No,
he only has fire. Does he only have fire?
He only has fire.
Okay.
And then he meets Raava, and Raava's the only way he can use the other elements. That's how it happens.
Interesting.
That's how they switch elements.
Yeah, I mean, in that case, then yeah, I guess that it does add that whole origin. I feel like maybe that there are other ways they could have explained it. I feel like if they did it a different way, maybe I would have liked it more. Maybe I wouldn't have liked it as much. Maybe the Raava would have been better. But I think that the Raava thing, for me, it just doesn't add anything to I think there are pros and cons, and I'm kind of balanced on it.
Okay, yeah.
All right, so I guess my next topic I was going to talk about is like the way the benders are depicted, right? So, for example, one argument we had, and I think we made a video about this before, is like lightning bending, right? How like it seemed like lightning bending was like a really tough thing to do back in Avatar: The Last Airbender, but now 70 years later, people in factories doing lightning bending, stuff like that, or like how. I don't want to say metal bending.
So are you saying that's part of the lore? Or
I guess I don't know what. I guess I don't know if that would be contradicting lore.
I think it's like because in Last Airbender there's a very defined power scale, if that's the right way of phrasing it, where there are certain skills that people have that show you how powerful they are, and one of those things is like lightning, the fact that Azula uses blue fire, and the blood bending. Like these are things that when they happen or when you see them, you know that this person is a very powerful character. But then bringing it to Legend of Korra, if common people all of a sudden have these abilities, it kind of messes with that idea that was previously established. I don't know if that contradicts.
I don't think that's necessarily lore, but I do think it involves a contradiction of what was told in Last Airbender, because Iroh was talking about lightning and saying how lightning is essentially sort of like the cold-blooded firebending or something like that. Yeah. And he was saying how you have to have this separation of yin and yang, or like understanding of yin and yang and this balance inside yourself. And he made it sound like you have to be an expert level firebender in order to use lightning bending, at least to me. Because we only saw 3. Was it 3 or 2 lightning benders in? It was 3. Azula, Iroh, and Ozai, right?
Yeah.
Those are the only lightning benders in Last Airbender.
Wait, did
Zuko never?
Wait. Did Iroh actually shoot lightning before, or he just redirected?
He did.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, he did.
He did it as an example.
Zuko. And Zuko said, "Shoot lightning at me." I remember that.
Yeah. Zuko and Aang redirected it, but they never actually like generated it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's sort of, to me, it's like contradiction in the sense that the way Iroh made it sound, it just doesn't seem that way anymore. in Korra.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like these people are masters of yin and yang, balance within
Yeah,
themselves.
exactly.
They're just
exactly.
like regular factory workers shooting lightning.
Exactly. I mean, who knows? We don't know their backstory.
That is something I definitely do not like. That is something I feel like should have been reserved for high-level firebenders. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing. I guess this goes back to maybe not lore, but it's kind of inconsistency. So Avatar used to have this theme, or at least the last Airbender. It seemed like the more spiritual you become, the more like powerful you are, type of thing. But it seems like in Korra, I mean, other than Zahir, and Zahir is only, that's why he's my favorite villain, because the more he spiritually enlightened he became, he learned how to fly. It seems like we don't see that balance again, where it seems like, again, with the characters, I don't find...
I mean, Ozai isn't spiritually
true.
involved, but he's the strongest.
I think that I get what you're saying. I think that the whole idea of like the more spiritual you are, the more powerful you become, I don't think that's necessarily necessary.
That's
basically.
fair. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
That's fair enough.
I think,
and Toph isn't necessarily like super spiritual, but she's the strongest earthbender.
Fair enough.
Toph is an interesting one because she's very strong, but then in Legend of Korra, she seems super spiritual because she's like alone with the tree.
And
able
in
to have a
Legend of
connection
Korra,
to
but not
everything.
Last Airbender.
Yeah.
I didn't get any hints of like spiritual vibes.
Yeah,
from
obviously.
Right. Not in Last Airbender.
Yeah.
Not in Last Airbender. But then I don't know if the whole spiritual vibe that we seem to get in Legend of Korra is spiritual, or is it just like she's so good at earthbending that she has the ability to feel the vibrations through the roots of trees, and that has nothing to do with the spirits?
I honestly believe it's the nothing to do with the spirit. I honestly think she's just extremely powerful.
Okay.
I mean, I don't, because you haven't got to that part again when she saves her children, but like she literally, what's it called? They're all doing metal bending. She doesn't even metal bend at all. She just does one earth bending move and knocks the whole team. And you're like, dang.
Oh, that was part of what I wanted to mention in one of our previous videos about the bending getting weaker.
Yeah, we talked about that, but that's what I was wondering if this can be part of the lore thing, because it seemed like I don't know, the fact bending even getting weaker. Whatever.
Yeah, I don't really think it's necessarily a part of the lore at all, but I do think it is a slight inconsistency in terms of the lightning bending. And I don't think it's an inconsistency with metal bending, just because there was never established.
That's fair enough.
Like, there was never established arts and disciplines and sayings about metal bending, right?
Yeah.
Because we got that from Iroh. He knows about lightning bending. He knows how to use it. He was instructing it. But for Toph, what we learned about metal bending is you just have to feel the earth. That's it.
Okay.
So it doesn't seem far-fetched that a whole bunch of people can learn metal bending.
Right. Okay, that's fair for that. But now I remember the other inconsistency that Korra did. Okay, so in the last Airbender, it seemed like Appa and Momo were the only animals, but then all of a sudden in Korra, we get a bunch of like...
Yeah.
I don't really think that's an inconsistency. I think that's more like a retcon, or just... We just didn't know that there were more. I guess it's very easy to explain away.
Yeah.
It's not like something where the bending origins or something where it's a complete contradiction or Yeah.
And ideally, like realistically, it would be difficult for the Fire Nation to kill all the flying bison.
But then in that theory, it would be, you can almost make the argument that it'd be unrealistic that they destroy all the airbenders.
That is very true.
That's true.
That is super true.
Because here's the thing with airbenders too, because it's like, just because somebody doesn't show airbending doesn't mean they can't give birth to someone who is an airbender.
That's true. That's true. Well, so is that like...
Wait, but I thought you have to be a bender to...
That's true. You have to be a bender, but here's the thing. Like, let's take Sokka, right? Like, if Sokka has kids, there's a possible chance that they can be a waterbender.
Right,
but that's because he has it in his lineage.
Yeah, his lineage. So you don't know, like, for example, I mean, we don't know that they destroyed all the air. Like, not every... I don't know if every...
Actually, no. The thing about air nomads is every single one of them is an airbender. Yep, it's a
really
thing.
True.
It's a thing, yeah. They're so spiritual that every single air nomad that is born is an airbender. There's not a single one that isn't. You want me to wiki this for you?
Okay, whatever. All right, whatever.
It's true, bro.
Okay,
right,
real quick. For the airbenders, what's their thing with like marriage and children? Because the whole monk aesthetic that they have has confused me about that, and I haven't actually looked into it.
I think the whole theory behind it is that they're not allowed to have like I think they're not allowed to have like fathers, but what they probably do is like they reproduce, and then from there they give it to some other person to take care of. I think that's the whole theory.
Interesting.
All right, just showing you right now.
About all everyone's to highlight.
Yeah, the creators made it so that all air nomads are airbenders.
Okay. All right. Fine. Whatever. That's
so. I mean, it makes sense, right? If you think, wait,
this goes
that actually is very. I guess all the air nomads just decided to be with each other then, because if you think about it, when
mad incest, bro.
Whatever. I'm not even going to answer that. Let's not go into that.
No, that's interesting. But when Aang and Katara were together and they had Bumi, Tenzin, and Kaya, right?
Yeah.
Not all of them were airbenders.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, I mean, not because, but like, why? To me, that means that if an air nomad decides to be with someone else that's not an air nomad, there's a chance that the kid won't be an airbender.
Okay, that's true. But then...
if the air nomads stay with each other, there'll be... I don't know, that's very...
no.
Very, very confusing.
This makes me think, because I'm curious. So does that mean, like, immediately if two benders... Like, let's just say two benders have the same element. Does that mean their baby will automatically have the same element? Because that's basically what they're saying with the air nomads. I mean, I guess they said they're spiritual, but at the same time, it's like that's what I'm basically getting from this. It's like as long as they have the same element, their baby 100% has the same element. There's no way that baby could have just had.
No, that's not true. They can still be a non-bender. It's only because they're very spiritual. So the air nomads are very special in the fact that they're so spiritual that all their kids have airbending. I know it's weird, but that's what they established.
What?
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, when
they
you
need an excuse for Aang to be the last airbender. That's basically what it is.
Yeah, maybe. But if you think about it, that means that the people who were on the lion turtles that were air nomads, they are essentially the ancestors of every single air nomad.
Fair enough. Because
they must have either never decided to mate with someone else. Because if you think about it, if that happened, then there would be a lineage where, say, like an air nomad decided to have a wife or husband that isn't an air nomad. Then that means there's a chance that won't be an airbender, right?
Yeah.
But does that mean there will never be an airbender in that lineage?
I still find it hard to believe within the 10,000 years of Wan, none of the airbenders ever thought about just dating outside.
Exactly.
And then Aang would just randomly said, you know what? I love water people. I find it hard to believe. I think they're liars.
That is very difficult. That is very difficult to think about, because that would mean the only possibility is that when an air nomad dates someone else that's not an air nomad, that they cannot be an airbender whatsoever. But that's proven wrong because Aang was with Katara and they had an airbender child.
Exactly.
So that means that there's a possibility of getting an airbender child, and then from there, are they always going to have an airbender child? Yeah, even if it's so confusing.
Yeah, that's what I mean by it's so confusing.
That is extremely inconsistent, actually. That we just discovered something that's pretty inconsistent.
Yeah.
Because if all air nomads are supposed to have children that are airbenders, then Bumi should have been an airbender.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know why. I mean, I guess Aang didn't care about love. I mean, he cared about love, but he didn't care about his. He broke his own rules. But I don't know. That's just...
No. I think there has to be that chance that air nomads decided to have a spouse outside of the air nomads, right?
They should have. That's their fun. That's their side chick or whatever.
No. Let's not say it that way.
Yeah,
I know this is a slight tangent, but it is an inconsistency.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's, oh my gosh, we can make an individual video about this.
We're making a video within a video. This is very meta.
Yeah, but you guys get me, right?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
It's like the air nomads having a spouse that's not an air nomad and still having the potential of making that child an airbender means that the rule about air nomads always having a child that's an airbender is wrong.
Yeah.
Or at least Korra proves that it's wrong because Aang's child, Bumi, isn't an airbender.
That's true. But then again, he married outside his.
Yeah, but it's proven with Tenzin that they can still
Oh, they can
be
still have it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
an
okay,
airbender. So
okay.
that means if that were to have happened in the past, then there would be people that are airbenders, but they're not part of the air nomads.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. That, and like you can almost make the argument with the show where with
unless the air nomad of a parent forcibly made the child into
That's
an air
fair
nomad.
enough.
But
That-
are
that
you
could-
saying that there was never a point in time where
Yeah.
that child was not made to be an air nomad? That's crazy.
That
That's
is, it is.
that's a big hole in the lore, in my opinion.
I agree.
That's
I
a
agree.
huge hole in the lore.
I agree, and now more reason why people should hate Korra. But
No.
I'm joking.
No,
I'm joking. I'm joking.
No, we don't hate Korra.
You don't hate
I don't
Korra?
hate Korra. I love Korra.
I don't hate either. I'm just joking.
Mhm.
I'm just trolling with the fan base. But I was gonna say, I guess that can explain why that one kid in the Western Air Temple with the wheelchair or whatever. I guess you can explain why Aang said he has the Airbender spirit, because maybe his ancestors were, for all we care, related to the Airbender lineage. So
True.
that could be. That could, but then again, that contradicts the lore of all
Exactly.
Airbenders. So.
Yeah. One other thing that I wanted to bring up is the avatar state. The difference. So I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding was that the avatar state is basically meant to be a culmination of. It's like all the past avatars.
Yes, exactly.
In one, like they're all helping.
Yeah.
Whoever the avatar is at that
exactly.
one moment. And so you have all their shared experiences and stuff.
Yeah.
But in Legend of Korra, after she breaks her connection with the past avatars, she can still access the avatar state. So what's going on there?
Well, Juan first got in the avatar state, and he had no other person.
That's another thing. So how is Juan able to get into the avatar state?
Because here's the thing about the avatar state. This is my hypothesis or whatever theory, whatever. I think that the avatar state is the reason why you're able to connect to all those other avatars is like you have a Raava with you, right? So really what the avatar state is when you're most connected with Raava. But as a byproduct of that, you're connected to all the other avatars and stuff like that. So I think that's what what they're trying to
So
go
Raava
for.
essentially carries the other past lives, the spirit of the past
Yeah.
lives. Raava
Okay.
is that connection.
Okay, so
That's why when you see Unalaq slapping Raava around, the avatars are essentially disappearing
okay.
in Korra's mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so the avatar state with Juan was just him and Raava.
Yeah, it was him and
Yes.
Raava.
But Raava, okay. So
So
okay.
after Unalaq slapped all the avatars
destroyed
out,
that
destroyed
version
Raava.
of Raava.
yeah,
but-
yeah,
Okay, so then is Raava, because Raava lost connection with Korra.
Yeah.
So how is she still able to get into the avatar state after she lost connection with Raava?
She didn't.
She didn't go to the avatar state. She connect back with Raava. Remember at the end of book 2, she connects with Raava.
She connects with Raava, but then they say in book 4, or the spirits say that they don't feel the Raava spirit with Korra.
Oh, so she lost, because she lost her connection with the avatar. Well, what I guess what they're saying with that is like, I think what they're trying to say is that the way she lost her connection with Raava is like she can't she's so resistant towards the connection basically because she's been traumatized after this year. So it's not like she can't. It's not like because even when she connects back with Raava says, "I was always here with you." So it's not necessarily like Rava's gone. It's just more of like it's almost like when Aang couldn't go to the avatar state. It's kind of like that where something's blocked because of her emotional trauma.
Okay, so what we're saying here is that now whenever Korra's in the avatar state, it's like when Juan was in the avatar
Basically,
state.
that's
Yep.
how it is.
That's why she was so darn weak when she fought Zahir.
that, and she had poison.
Yeah, and Kavira.
Yeah, that's another reason why.
But at the same time, Juan was bloody powerful when he was in the avatar state.
That's true.
Taking out Vaatu.
That's true.
We'll talk about that later. But that was honestly one of the worst things about Korra. When Korra had full strength avatar state and could not beat Unalaq.
Yeah, I mean,
but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I'll talk about that
that's
later.
not part of this video.
I'll bring up my defense to that, although I don't agree.
Yeah, I mean, so that's another thing. That's kind of like a byproduct of the introduction of Raava. That kind of feels like, for me, it makes it feel messy, where you have all of these things that you have to kind of explain, and they're not very apparent. we have an understanding of the Avatar state, but then the whole Raava thing kind of confuses us. Like, how can this happen? What is it supposed to mean now? And so it kind of, because they never explicitly say, and I get the whole idea, it makes sense, but they never explicitly say that the Avatar state is when you're most connected with Raava, and that's how you're able to connect to all the past lives.
Yeah.
It was mostly just your connection with all the past lives are coming together as one. And so that's kind of how I understood it. But it seems like with the whole Raava thing, they have to add in more explanations that just makes the thing more messy for me.
Yeah.
So
I think for the most part, I think it makes sense though. I think when the way we explained it just now is the way that it is, and it makes sense.
Yeah. It's more implied than being explicit. Yeah.
Yeah. But to me, the Raava thing isn't necessarily, it doesn't contradict anything for me.
Mm.
More so the bending stuff was the contradiction.
Yeah, bending for
inconsistency.
Inconsistency for sure of the lore. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I don't know. I still feel like the animal thing is a little bit. I mean, I guess it's a retcon, but whatever. I feel like
it doesn't have to be. It's not necessarily a retcon either. It's more so. I mean, yeah, in a way, it is sort of like a retcon, but more so it's just like, oh, we didn't know, you know.
Fair enough.
We just didn't find them, or whatever.
Didn't find other animals.
For all we know, there could have been more airbenders just hiding the entire time.
Yeah. Wait. Okay, wait.
Imagine they just come out like 50 years after Korra.
That's like, you guys were here the whole time. Airbenders. The original airbenders. We went to the spirit world. That's what happened to us. Mm. But okay, I guess that's another. I guess to bring back this topic again. Okay, so I guess another thing to bring up is, how about the spirit portals? Like, did we feel the spirit portals? Because I mean, you can make the argument that in the last Airbender, when they went to the Northern Water Tribe, and they said the most spiritual place was the place with the two fishes. But meanwhile, there's this whole spirit portal thing that if Aang really went there, he could have met Ko and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So could you make the argument there where it's like, the argument can there is they just didn't know that, but at the same time, if there was a spirit portals in the north and west,
they would have known. I feel that something that big, they would have known. Maybe not everyone would have known about it, but like certain people would have known, and I feel like those people would have told the Avatar about it. So I think that's something that they introduced in Korra that just, it doesn't make sense that it wasn't explained or mentioned in Last Airbender.
Yeah, that one's a blatant inconsistency.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's another one, especially because the fact that they both happen to be connected were Vaatu,
and they said, but I didn't even know how they would know. So they said that like before, you can go between the southern and northern water tribe through the portals, right? But that would have been like 10,000 years.
Yeah, before. I don't think they ever did that. Because
did they never say that?
Juan,
they said
Juan
that.
closed
he
the
closed
portals.
He closed. Oh yeah, that's true. So where did that come from?
No, I think Unalaq just mentioned saying now it's connected, so they can do that now.
Yeah. So did he? I feel like I remember him saying that they used to, but
I think maybe he's just doing that to lie. Obviously, that's just probably, if anything, he was just doing that to make sure. Korra,
yeah, but I'm pretty sure he just mentioned it, saying that we have to connect the northern and southern water tribes through these portals now that we're connected, stuff like that.
Yeah,
because I remember it was either Desna or Eska saying, "Father, we've connected the northern and southern water tribes now. We can go home now, right?" And he's like, "Nah, we got to release Vaatu." So
yeah, that's another inconsistency in the lore, then, for sure.
Yeah,
just because it's someone in the northern water tribe would have known,
right? Because
otherwise, how would Unalaq have known,
right?
Unless he discovered some lost book or something that told him.
Yeah.
But seriously, someone should have known in the northern water tribe, and that could have gave him a huge edge against the Fire Nation.
Definitely,
because that's like a stronghold right there.
That's true.
That they could have exploited quite easily.
Yeah, and then I guess another question I have with the spirit world is like, it seems like when Aang goes to the spirit world, he happens to be like, it seems like he happens to be in the place where he needs to be. But then when Korra goes to the spirit world, it seems like she's always in some like,
she's anywhere.
I don't know. I'm guessing. I guess that's where I mean. I feel like it's inconsistent. That's where I mean. Where it's like, Like,
yeah, it's very interesting because Aang is far more spiritual than Korra.
yeah.
Yet he has to be in the right places and the right mood in order to get there. But then Korra, for some reason, she can have like Zahir guide her into the spirit world.
Stuff like that.
She can also, I remember her going into the spirit world. Was it? No, she needed some places to get into the spirit world.
Yeah, definitely.
Like when she did it with Jinora.
Yeah, she did it with Jinora. Obviously, she had to go to the place that was more.
I think for Korra, she always went there. No, there was a point in time when they were spying on what's his name, the metal bender that can detect lines.
Yeah, exactly. They're spying on him. I forgot his name too. And that's when she finds
Aiwei.
Aiwei, perfect.
Yeah, she was spying on him, and then she entered the spirit world somehow. But I forgot how.
She just just meditated.
Yeah, meditated right next to him, right? How did she do that?
Yeah.
That is a huge inconsistency to me because
it was really simple for her to get into the
exactly.
spirit world.
How did she do that? That part is that part is bad inconsistency right there. Because for Korra to be able to do that, okay, fine. Aiwei can do that because he's old, he understands it, and he probably trained a whole bunch. Jinora, I can understand her being able to do that too. Exactly.
Yeah.
But Korra, I don't think so.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
for Korra to have just done that out of nowhere, especially, I don't know, that was.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the only thing I could say is maybe she was more connected to Raava. That's a whole. I'm not gonna bring up my criticisms until
I think for now that was a lot that we mentioned.
Yeah.
Most of them, in my opinion, are small enough for me to have not thought of it as a hindrance to the show.
Yeah, that's definitely outside.
There are a few that I haven't mentioned yet, but this video has gone on for a long time.
Exactly.
Yeah, but we'll probably talk more in depth about those other ones later on.
Okay.
Now that we've refreshed ourselves with Korra.
Mm-hmm.
But that'll be it for now.